Hello everybody and welcome to Ginger Books. It's your girl Gingy here, coming at you with another video. Hello everybody, as you heard from the intro, yes, it's me, Gingy here, and welcome to Ginger Books, or welcome back if you're a continuing watcher or subscriber. And welcome to the second reading vlog of the year, as well as the second reading vlog of the Magical Readathon Orilium challenge that I'm trying to catch up on for spring. And why do I look so, not, okay. My camera's being funny on my phone, so I'm just gonna have to deal with the whole feeling like this is a robotic lag issue, so sorry about that. Yes, so this is another reading vlog. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought of how I wanted to start this video. Thank you for bearing with me. I do have to say thank you. As I said, from the Goals channel, I may have sporadic uploads just because when I am busy, I don't usually vlog a whole lot. And plus, depending on my reading mood, I just don't have vlog content. So, but I'm really excited to share with you guys. Technically, this will be Tuesday, last week, but to share with you the House of Sky and Breath vlog, because that ending, anybody who's read it, just enough said. That ending, and I am impatiently waiting for the next book, but it doesn't look like it's going to, if the book is released this year, it won't be until this fall. So, but I may have to double check. I don't know. Editing me might correct myself on that one. So for this vlog, I want to start getting cracking on, obviously, getting more books done, because I've only gotten one book done so far. And so this one, I am going to be focusing on reading 9 Liars by Maureen Johnson, just because it is my top, anticipated release. This also fills other prompts, but I can't remember exactly. I don't have the journal with me, so I will update you guys later on that, what we need to read. I have changed my TBR list just because some of the books on there I'm just not in the mood to read. This is the reason why I do not have set TBR lists, because if I'm not in the mood to read them, then it kind of knocks me out of the mood to read them if I try to force myself to read them, if that makes sense. So we're going to be getting to read that here shortly, but before that I wanted to show you guys a little mini book haul that I have. So at my local library they have, so it's a 2-story building, and in between where the stairwell is, it's kind of like you walk up and then you walk up, then there's like this little landing here, and then you walk up the last set of stairs to go to the second floor near the elevators. And right there is 2 bookshelves that they kind of de-shelf books that have not done so hot in a long time. I think it takes, like they said, that it depends on how many times it's checked out in 2 or 3 years, and if it has only been checked out like a handful of times, then they decide to take it off the shelves. Well, they took this one off the shelves, and it's called Dance of Shadows by Yolana Black. I'm sorry if I mispronounced the first name. I'm trying to get better at pronouncing names, I promise. And this is supposed to be book 1 of a series, I believe, because it says Dance of Shadows on the, hiding that one up here. And it just intrigued me just because the synopsis was it sounds like a dancer sister that went missing, and so she becomes a dancer to solve the crime. Then I also got this because, I pre-ordered it, and you kind of just saw a glimpse of it. I pre-ordered this book just because I own pretty much all of the books by this author in this Chronicle series. And that is, of course, I bought Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare, The Last Hours, Book 3, which I believe is now the last installment of the Last Hours series. It is a collector's first edition. Of course, I have not read this yet. I haven't even finished the Dark Artifices series. I'm on the last book on that one, too. Haven't even read the Tales of the Shadow Market or Tales of the Shadowhunter Academy. Yeah, I know. I'm just totally on it. But that is the Chronicles that I want to finish, and I also want to read this series this year so I can give you guys my thoughts. And she is a thick book. I mean, I'm pretty sure the font like sizing is like 14 or 16. So I mean, that's probably the reason why she's so thick. But she is like, hold on. 778 is just the story alone. So 778 pages. Now, of course, that's not like Sarah J. Maas big, but it's almost there for her Crescent City series. I went and visited a bookstore that just opened up last summer in the city that's closest to where I live. And yesterday, just because my fiance is actually gone until Thursday, he won't be getting back until like really late Thursday night. He's currently right now in St. Louis because they're doing a quality control classes, and then he has to take a test to get a certification for quality control for work. So it's just Lady and I hanging out in the house. So we decided to go have like a, since I consider her my child, like a mom and daughter day, where I took her to the pet store there, had to go run and get a few things from Target, and then I went to the bookstore, and that's where I got a couple of things. So I got Darcy Coates' The Haunting of Rockwood House, just because I am really liking her, even though we have not finished Craven Manor. Not Craven Manor. I have Craven Manor, but I have not finished Gallows Hill yet. That is also on my list to finish. Maybe Gallows Hill could also fill one of our prompts. Might need to look that up. But this is another one where it's kind of more of like a spiritual, ghost, spooky type, haunted place themed from hers, because I'm not really into like the murder mystery type things where like the ghosts are real. I kind of like the supernatural element of that, where you do solve like a cold case or something like that, like the Truly Devious series. And then I also got this. It's called The Woobles, which is Learning to Crochet Kit for Beginners. The wonderful lady who owns the bookshop also has these in stock, and you can order them online. I've been having a lot of fun. Now, I do know how to crochet, but I do not know how to crochet like little characters. I tried the lion one, but it didn't end up so hot, and I think it was because I didn't finish it either in one sitting or close to, like, in a couple of days, just because I did start it, and then I didn't, like, do anything with it for, like, a week and a half. And then I was so confused when I tried to pick it back up. But it has easy instructions that you can, with the access code, can go online to the Woobles database and go through their step-by-step tutorials, as well as they have video tutorials that show you how to do everything, including what the stitches are named, their abbreviation, all of that fun stuff. So, yeah. So I'm going to make a little duck this time. Hopefully it's not as... a little bit easier than the lion, which I probably was a little too ambitious with the lion. So, or no, was it a lion? No, it was the fox, not the lion. The fox. Now, of course, what also came in the mail is my Book of the Month subscription box, which I pay each month. I'm not an affiliate with, so this will be February's box. Let me see if I can open it. Every time I try to open this, I always don't have scissors, which I did fix that situation. I do have scissors back in my office because I have no idea where my scissors went that were supposed to be in my office. And part of me is thinking that my fiance ran off with them somewhere, and now he doesn't remember where they're at, but that's okay. Now, of course, I've been kind of getting into like a suspense psychological thrillers again. So The Writing Retreat, a novel by Julia Bartz. This one, was of an author who is just trying to start out like an amateur author and finds this writing retreat, which turns into kind of like a survival game. So I thought this would be kind of up my alley. I kind of like it. So it kind of reminds me of like Saw. If you've ever seen that horror movie, that's what it kind of came off as like, or a murder mystery dinner, something like that. So currently I just got done with work for the day. And I thought I would pop on something in the background and we would get to reading. So, yeah. it's about 4:30. Don't mind this clock. I'm pretty sure it ran out of batteries, so it's not working right now. But so obviously that's the wrong time behind me. So I believe I got to page, 75 in the Kindle edition. Here, let me check real quick. Yeah, so I got to chapter 4, which is supposed to be page 74 in the Kindle edition. I don't know if it's the same for every edition. But, and also before I say this, because I do forget to say this, my vlogs are actually spoiler-filled. I don't do spoiler-free reading vlogs just because I'm not very good at keeping them spoiler-free, so just be fair warned. If you do not want to be spoiled, I would suggest clicking off this video, reading the book, and then coming back to hear about my thoughts of reading 9 Liars by Maureen Johnson. I got to chapter 4, as I stated before, and so far I am enjoying it. It's a little slow, but of course mostly trying to set up the characters to go to their kind of call to adventure or to their destination to start kind of building towards the mystery and everything like that. It does take a little bit, and it could be just because I feel like it's a little slow is because maybe I'm just not really in the mood for reading. I haven't been lately, so I'm not going to fault that to the book, just because it could be me. But so far, I am pulled in. Like, I am intrigued. It's definitely doing the dual timeline like usually Maureen Johnson does in the Truly Devious books. So far, we started off in 1995 where technically this murder mystery starts, or this cold case starts. And it's with it's a group of college students who had just graduated. They call themselves the 9 because it's like their improv, like, joke group that they formed. I don't remember all of the names, so I do apologize of all of the characters. And it starts off where technically this is taking place in Cambridge, so they're over in England. And all of these students have come from some of them, I think they all come from around England. Like, these are not students who came over from different countries, I don't believe. I could be wrong. I may have to correct myself later, but that's okay. But as I said, they're 9 friends that had ended up, when they met each other, they ended up getting like a flat or an apartment together that had 9 rooms in it. And pretty close friends. And it sounds like they also have like intermingled and dated each other as well. But it sounds like the group dynamic, they're pretty close. So even if they broke up, they kind of ended on mutual terms or something like that. Except for this one. I guess 2 people had dated by the name of Julian and Rosie. And Rosie seems like to be the very quiet, kind of sweetheart, very innocent person of the group. And they ended up breaking up. Julian comes off as, from the way he's described, as this Casanova, actor, movie star kind of type personality, and the looks department as well, and kind of does what he wants and kind of, gets all the ladies. And so there was some friction between 2 characters already going up because it sounds like he cheated on Rosie and that's how the relationship ended. Also, and another character in the group by the name of Suze didn't like what Julian did, even though those 2 dated before. And it almost sounds like it comes off that Suze is jealous that she still is not in a relationship with him, or I can't quite figure out how Suze really feels about this, even though, like, what feels like the leader of the group and the house that they're going to, because he owns a manor, because he's supposed to be the 6th Viscount, which is Sebastian, says you guys just need to either, well, in language, either you guys need to screw each other or not have anything to do with each other and figure it out so they don't ruin their week of being together before they all go their separate ways. However, they decide to play this game, I guess as a tradition, even though they've been up there 3 different times from the way it's described, to play hide and seek. Completely wasted until everybody is found. well, obviously this is where the story kind of sets in where the tragedy happens, because two people never came in. All of them were drunk. We're thinking, oh, they'll end because it's a huge storm outside. It's downpouring. But they find out in the morning they have not come back inside. And they have just found Rosie's, mutilated body in the woodshed that morning. But there's still somebody else missing, which is, I believe, by the name of Noah or Noel, even though it's a guy. I'm not 100% sure. But another person is missing. We haven't gotten to that point yet. So that's what's happening right now in the 1995 timeline. So I don't know if we're going to keep going back to 1995 for a while, just because now we have set up that Rosie's dead. And we don't know what happened to the other person that technically was with them. And they were kind of caught looking like they were kind of getting close to each other by Sebastian. So that's what they thought they were doing. They thought that they had shacked up and were shagging it outside. So, yeah. Anyways, now we go into the present timeline with Stevie, who is currently back for the fall semester at Ellington Academy with her friends, and David, her boyfriend, is now over in England going to college. So, because he was a year older than her. So, and he just invited them to come stay a week in England. So, they did get approved through Dr. Quinn, even though Dr. Quinn did tell them that I have eyes over there. You better be doing what you say you're doing, and yada, yada, yada. So, they're now going over there. So, obviously, now we're at what I mean by the point to the call to the adventure of our friends now going over to, I think he's going to Cambridge, but I'm 100% sure. We'll find out. So, this will be interesting, and how this all Stevie finds out about this cold case. And yeah, and it also is kind of neat to see too that since she solved Ellington Academy and the Box in the Wood case, people have been emailing her, like 10 people a week, trying to solve I think our neighbor is a murderer, or I think our cousin is up to no good because of all this stuff. And kind of interesting. And she did get paid for the Box in the Wood, so she does have some money set aside. And right now, Stevie is at a stagnant. She doesn't know how to, be herself while also dating somebody long distance, as well as she doesn't know what she wants to do with her life, really. She really doesn't. And is kind of feeling the pressure of she needs to go to college. She's seeing her friends, Janelle and Vi, planning with spreadsheets and everything of places that they're going to apply to near each other. All of these applications and entrance exams. And even Nate, the one person that she was close to that didn't really pressure her into doing things, is now saying, you need to do this. You know you need to do this. You just need to get your act together and do this. So she's feeling a lot of pressure from her friends to start applying to colleges. But she, again, doesn't know if that's the route she wants to go because, like she said, she only has enough that maybe might pay for a semester, and then she'll have to get loans, and her parents are not wealthy. They're not going to help her out. So what is she going to do? So that's kind of interesting to see because, and it almost makes me feel like, myself in the character, because I am technically the first generation of my family to go to college, and, my parents helped me the best they could, but they're from a working class. So I had, to take the loans myself. A lot of it I had to do myself with obviously help from advisors because, I was the first in my family to go to college. So I kind of feel a little connected to Stevie in that way. So it's kind of interesting. But so far that's where I'm at. I figured I would read a little bit, but I do have a Lions Club meeting to go to in a little bit. So I probably only get to read for a little, just to kill some time, but it's still enough, right? So let's get to some reading, and I will tell you where I stop and my thoughts afterwards. Okay, so I just got to chapter 6. So I've read a couple of chapters. So chapter 4 and chapter 5 were in Stevie's point of view, and it was interesting because of watching her trying to pretty much feel like she wants to finally go all the way with David on this trip, and trying to think to herself, like, I've never had to think about this stuff before. What do I wear? How do I initiate? Like, obviously I understand what I wear might initiate it. So, like, and trying to ask Janelle and trying to figure out, like, okay, what lingerie do I want to wear? All this stuff. And she does pick something out, but she literally picked out pretty much flannel onesies. A unison onesie. Which is technically so typical her. But when she sees David for the first time, that is just so cute. Of how pretty much she just wanted to do it right there in the street. She didn't care. And their dynamic, it is just so cute. I missed that. I didn't realize I missed it until I was reading this. And I'm like, God, they're so cute. So, but the latest chapter, chapter 5, we go back into 1995, and this is after they discover, I'm guessing both bodies, even though they only say one body when they discovered the bodies, but I'm going to assume that they found 2 at this point until further information. Angie, one of the 9, ran up to the bath to take a bath because she needed to make sense of it all, and she told Theo, which is kind of like the mom of the group, studying to be a cardiologist, and she tells her that, I remember specifically last night that there was no lock on the woodshed, but the door was stuck, and what attracted her to the woodshed is that she saw flashlights in the woodshed, but there was no lock. So I'm trying to, like, I may keep a notebook to tick down what they're talking about. So obviously somebody had access to that woodshed other than Sebastian that night to unlock it, or they picked the lock. So, and Angie remembers saying, hey, like trying to get somebody's attention, like, hey, open the door. But nothing happened, so she gave up and ran away. So she's not 100% sure if possibly she, obviously trying to make sense of it, is like, was the killer in there? Were people hiding out in there? Was that, Noelle and Rosie? Like, this is getting interesting in how Maureen Johnson is setting it up this time, because this is kind of different a little bit. I don't know what's different about it, and because it's been a while since I've read, like, Box in the Woods, as well as the Truly Devious trilogy, the first 3 books. So I would like to see what road we're going to go down. But currently, I need to get on the road. Otherwise, I'm going to be late for my meeting. And I think I'm going to read more afterwards. I've been doing a new thing where if I complete my tasks during the day, that means work tasks, as well as a couple of chores I've been giving myself per day, I reward myself, whether that be going to get ice cream, which tonight is ice cream, to go get some ice cream, or, watch a movie I've been anticipating on watching or something like that. Like, I have to get these done in order to do fun things, kind of thing. So, and it's been putting me in a really great mindset to get things done. So like today, I wanted to straighten up the living room because it was starting to become a mess. Burn garbage, because we burn garbage here on the farm. And then, what was the other thing? Oh, I needed to edit and finally upload the first vlog of the Magical Readathon. So that will be uploading while I'm at my meeting. So, but anyways, I gotta get going. Otherwise, I'm going to be late, and I will talk to you guys hopefully later with some more reading. If not, I will see you guys in the morning. for the weird light that's coming in the window. I may have to reposition you guys because this is... Okay, this is actually annoying me. So I'll just reposition you over here. So I just got to end of chapter 6. And I'm not gonna lie, this is really funny. So they meet a friend that's in a tutorial group. I'm guessing it's supposed to be like a tutor group that David is a part of, and her name is Izzy. And Stevie's kind of skeptic of her, just like, really? Are you that overly cheerful to, like, meet us? Like, you don't know us at all? And only from what David has says. You're, like, being overly friendly. So, she comes up next to Stevie after they get off, the Eye, which is a famous Ferris wheel in London. And she says, I'm so pleased you're here. She said, I've wanted to tell someone about this for so long, but I had no one to tell. Then David told me about you, and I knew I had to tell you when I got here. I thought I would wait until the ride was over. You see, she gripped the rail that ran along the inside of the pod. I have to tell you about a murder. There it is, Nate said, mostly under his breath. What's the catch? Where's the weird? Because, you know, weird always follows the group of friends. And that's it. So, I'm wondering how Izzy is connected. I'm wondering if she's like a family member of like one of the 9 or maybe one of the 2 students that were killed. So, this will be interesting. I'm going to keep reading. Yeah, not even, obviously, a page later. Her aunt is Angela, which is one of the 9. So, and now she is spewing all of the information that I'm guessing she heard from Angela or maybe even the news reports, depending on how much Angela shared. And Angela was the one that Rosie wanted to confide in about seeing something weird before she got, well, killed. Or, you know. So, yeah. Well, anyways, I'm gonna keep reading. Okay, so it gets interesting because I guess the reason why Izzy was with her Aunt Angela is because she had surgery because she ripped a muscle or something or tore a muscle at the gym and had to have surgery. So she's on painkillers, and she said she had the telly on and there was a show on about a murder, and out of nowhere she said, I think one of my friends murdered someone. I was there. So I said to her, what do you mean? And she said, my friends, the ones who were killed, the lock was off the door. I saw the lock off the door. Then she kept saying something about things being planted. I could tell she wasn't hallucinating. She was saying something she really believed but wouldn't have said out loud unless she was off her tits on pain medication. Her mom said, I think one of my friends murdered someone. Or your aunt said, I think one of your friends murdered someone, Stevie repeated. And also that she was there, and the lock and the planted evidence, or planting, or something, and then I think she realized what she was saying and stopped and had no idea what to do. I asked her about it later, and she tried to fob me off. Interesting. So Angela thinks that one of her friends might have killed her friends. I guess that's where the, title comes from, 9 Liars. Okay, so I'm on page 119 in the Kindle version, and we're going through the case files, what was written, and it says the impressions of the victims and scenes. So I am going to read this. I do recommend if what I'm going to describe upsets you, I do suggest fast forwarding past this, and I'll put a timestamp down below, because I just don't want to alarm anybody or make anybody sick or anything by this description. It doesn't go into huge detail, but just in case. Both victims were found partially covered in firewood, and both had been attacked with a sharp, heavy weapon that left wedge-shaped injuries consistent with an axe. The axe normally kept in the woodshed was missing. A long-handled axe was found by piece PC wit scale and a small stream running through the property. I'm confused because I thought Sebastian had picked up the handle of an axe. So how did it end up in the stream? I'm confused. Maybe I missed that. Maybe I might want to go back and read that. But I thought he picked up an axe. Like, they found an axe in the woodshed. That's a little suspicious. A little sus.
Okay, so I'm on page 133 in the Kindle version, and Izzy almost sounds like a super fan of Stevie. Because this is what she says. To Stevie's surprise, Izzy began to recount the story of Stevie's work on the Ellingham kidnapping and murders, even in the stuff that hadn't been in the press. She told the story of the truly devious letters and the recent deaths. There were things she could have learned only from David. She knew these things in detail, and she got the details right. This told Stevie a few things. 1, David talked about Stevie a lot, so there's no reason to be jealous at this point. 2, Izzy paid attention. 3, Izzy made it sound like Stevie was Wikipedia Holmes, a walking, talking, deducing database that ate true crime and spat out justice. I'm sorry, that's funny. And then Stevie goes on to, it was sort of flattering, but some other darker emotion was slipping into Stevie's brain pan. Why did Izzy care so much about her? Yeah, a little weird. Unless she has ADHD like Stevie does and fixates on things. I don't know. But interesting. Okay, so I just got to... Sorry. So I got to the end of the chapter, and we're now on the excerpt from the witness statement of Angela Gill. But there definitely is something about a lock, because Stevie read the features of when a lock was brought up. Obviously, they showed up unannounced. Izzy totally told her aunt that they were coming over, but she never said she was bringing friends or food. And, you know, pretty much made the whole encounter very uncomfortable, but sometimes kind of have to make the situation uncomfortable to get things done, but I guess. But Stevie even felt very kind of taken back of how inconsiderate Izzy was of her aunt, but did get a reaction out of her when the lock was mentioned, and that was fear. So that means Angela knows something she's not saying. She knows more than she's letting on. Wondering if maybe it's something that she looked into herself and found out and decided to keep quiet. And maybe it might be the reason why she mentioned that she thinks one of her friends murdered her friends. So, interesting. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and keep reading for a while, and I'll pop back in later when I'm done. Okay, so I just got to chapter 11. And I have thoughts. As Stevie is also having thoughts right now. So Angela was studying to be a historian. She was going to go work for, I believe, a couple of museums after Cambridge. And now she's working for documentaries on the BBC. And she has a fascination of Henry VIII and his wives. And she went on this whole spree of how he was going to, off his wives, or the two that he did. And how the first one that he offed, he had such pageantry behind it. And what he was going to do. He already had planned the executioner. It was going to be by sword, everything, before she was even convicted. And just the way she talked about it and intrigued by it, you almost makes you wonder if possibly she might be the killer. Like, she became fascinated by this. But I don't think the author would be that obvious. But it is weird. She has a sudden fascination of Henry VIII and the way he executed his wives. So, yeah. And Stevie's kind of circulating around this too. Like, the lock and the way Angela is fascinated by Henry VIII and the 2 wives that he executed. So, interesting. But I think I'm going to stop reading now, because in a little bit I'm probably going to go get something to eat and go visit my parents, because I do have bell choir tonight, so figured I would do that. And yeah, so I will check in with you guys later. If not, I will see you in the morning.
Hello everybody, it is almost 1:30, so it is close to the end of the workday. I kind of shut down a little early just because I got a lot of my stuff that I needed to get done, and I took a late lunch. So currently, I'm just sitting at my desk. I'm waiting for a video game to download that I've been waiting for so long. I would love to do maybe a video of me playing it or something, but I feel that, I don't know. I don't think I will, but it'd be kind of fun. But it's been a video game that I've been waiting for a while. I've been watching some of the beta testing and some of the playthroughs since the 24-hour or the 72-hour early release if you bought the deluxe edition, which probably now has given it away what game it is. So I'm excited. Yeah. But currently, it's still got about 40 minutes to download. I purchased it this morning, so it's been downloading for about 5 or 6 hours now. Or actually about 4. Yeah, it's been about 5 hours. Which it said would take about 5 hours to download because it is a big game. But I figured while I'm waiting, we can get some reading in, just because I will be leaving between 2 and 2:30 to go up and see my 2 horses at my friend's place. And trying to get up there so that we can get some I can get most of the chores besides cleaning stalls done for her when she gets off work. Because it sounds like we might be going to either to the town near her, or we're going to the city near her, because she needs to pick up bedding and some feed for her horses. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and read. Oh, I did read a little bit more before we start reading. So I got to chapter 13, and this is so cute, but my heart goes out to Stevie because she's trying to have like this perfect night where her and David finally go all the way, and it gets ruined by a panic attack, which was kind of brought on because she made a comment that kind of came off wrong. About David and this Izzy girl hanging out a lot. And obviously David gets defensive, you know, just like, I'm trying to be right, I'm trying to be good, I'm not trying to be this screw up anymore for you, and well, for himself, he mentions, for himself and for Stevie. And you know, Izzy's been, he technically met her like 3 weeks ago, so they haven't been friends very long. But I just felt so bad for her, and it kind of ensued a panic attack because Stevie realized, she's like, oh my gosh, I'm ruining the moment. I'm not trying to be jealous. Like, that's not what I'm trying to be, even though I do feel jealous. Like, oh my goodness. And then panic attack ensued. Well, then they go out, and each day they have like chores they have to do, and then they have to do a report and send it back. And that's when David and Izzy met them, and Izzy is now her aunt's missing. Angela, and they do have a group, her and the 9 have a group chat back and forth, and I guess that night when they came to visit, she was in contact with them and said, hey, can we meet at Merriweather? Like, we need to discuss what happened that night. So does everybody know what happened that night? Or is Angie the only one and she's gonna tell everybody? I don't know, but now she's missing. So, that's sus. But so far, my thoughts of like how the story is going, I feel like this is definitely different because it almost feels like Truly Devious, where there's different puzzle pieces kind of still kind of moving around. So everything is kind of not clicking yet, but obviously we know that Angie knows something, and she's suspecting it's one of the friends in the group that killed her 2 friends. I mean, it makes sense. How would a lock these buildings that are all supposed to be locked, and supposedly in Sebastian's report that his parents make sure everything is locked before he leaves, or before they leave. So everything was supposed to be locked. And the only person that has keys is technically the gardener, who's the head of grounds, his parents, and himself. So who would have had access to the woodshed to take the lock off? Because there was no sign of forced entry at that point. When supposedly Angie saw that there was no lock on the door, but the door was stuck. So was it locked from like the inside with something? Like, so many questions. And maybe the light she was seeing swinging could have been from when the axe hit it. Who knows? But anyways, so it kind of makes like Sebastian look a little sus because he was the only one with keys. And he stuffed them down his pants. Unless somebody is a really good locksmith and knows how to pick a lock and make it disappear and then reappear and make it look sign like a 4th century. The only person I can think of that kind of disappeared for a while was Julian. So, anyways, we're going to start reading and figure out more in this crazy mess. So I've gotten to the witness report of Theo, or Thedora, and she says at the end of it that it was Sebastian and I left the woodshed. Sebastian was starting to go into shock, so I moved away from the area and got him back to the house. We called you. Investigator, you said the others went out shopping while you were looking for your friends. Yes. It was just 2 of you who came upon the scene. Yes. Did you move anything aside from the logs? We got out as quickly as possible. We didn't want to touch once we saw. I tried to be clinical. I tried to report to the best of my capability. I'm fine. I'm quite cold in my head. I'm sorry. You've done very well. You can go back to your friends have a cup of tea. All of them were there, though. Like, when we would flash back to the past, everybody was there. So why would you say that the others went out shopping while you were looking for your friends? They're all too hung over to even leave the house yet. And I'm pretty sure Theo, Sebastian, and I think Suze went with them. There was like a group of 3 or 4 that went to go find them. Something ain't adding up.
Okay, so we also go into an excerpt from Julian's report or statement that he gave. And obviously they ask, like, how did the relationship with Rose ended? And of course he's like, does this really matter? So he's kind of getting upset about it. And he says this, of what happened. About a week ago, we were all at the pub. We were having a laugh. I finished my exams, and I had maybe 1 too many, and I think I knew Rosie and I wouldn't be continuing the way we were. And I kissed another girl. Just some girl I met there that night. It wasn't serious, but Rosie found out, of course. Everyone saw, but that's what these things, it happens. I'm sorry. And obviously he must have started crying at this point. Sebastian and Theo are covering for somebody. Angie feels like she knows somebody did it, and it might be because Sebastian and Theo are covering. Or at least Theo's covering. Might be still too soon to know. Okay, so I'm on page 226 in the Kindle version. And Stevie and Izzy are talking to Suze, Yash, and Peter at Suze's flat. And they're talking about that day and what kind of led up to the events. And Suze, her brow furrowed. She had hit a memory. Something was odd, she said. Rosie was in a strange mood the whole way there. I remember. Something to do with Julian. Could have. But Suze just remembers that Rosie was upset because they had broken up like 2 or 3 weeks before. So she's kind of stuck on that. Really stuck on that. Something to do with Julian. Rosie had been dating Julian, and things with Julian were always... She shook her head. Drama, Peter said. There was always some drama about Julian. Not just Julian, Suze said. We were all big, passionate, messy. But yes, that day was about Julian. I knew what that would be like. I dated him twice, and for most of our second year. Julian and Rosie were together for most of our last year, and they split up right near the end. At least Rosie was in the process of leaving him for Noelle. That last week we were at Cambridge, I saw them going off together. We had this tatty tent. Someone bought it for a festival and put it up in the back garden afterward. And we never took it down. We go in there sometimes. It was disgusting, muddy, moldy, but private. I saw Rosie and Noelle slipping in there during finals week. Interesting. That was never mentioned. So, Suze just said this. The last any of us saw of Rosie and Noelle was as we ran out into the rain in the dark. They never came back in. What we figured is that they were off shagging somewhere. The next morning, they still hadn't come out. Sebastian and Theo went out to look for them. She trailed off. Theo and Sebastian found them, Peter said quietly. So Theo lied, saying the others were out shopping while they were looking for them. But Theo and Sebastian were the only ones that went out and looked. Interesting.
Hello, everybody. It is Monday the 13th. I've kind of just not existed for 2 days. Hello. But that does not mean I have not read. So I don't remember when I last updated you guys, but I am now on, whenever this loads, I am now on chapter 24 of the Kindle version of 9 Liars. And we are to the point where Stevie pretty much solved, like, you figured out that you guys are not telling the full truth of exactly what happened, and laid out the evidence of, well, the window was shut in your guys' picture the night you arrived, and then the window was open in the crime scene photos. Something's not lining up. Like, she kind of hung on that, and just to get them to open up, and they do finally. Sebastian's like, no, I think we need to, like, tell them what happened. And so, because, I mean, Angie was technically on it. She was trying to figure out what happened to Noelle and Rosie. And she suspected that one of her friends possibly, and Stevie didn't say that one of her friends possibly could be the murderer, because who else could be? So, they finally tell the truth, which is finding out that Sebastian was growing a certain type of plant upstairs. And Theo, being the protector of the group, was like, we have to dispose of this stuff. Otherwise, they would suspect Sebastian of being the killer because of all of this stuff. But at least he would be arrested for, worst case scenario, he would be arrested for all of this and possibly blamed for the murders. So that's what they did, and tried to not disturb the crime scene as much as possible. But the thing is that they didn't call right away when they discovered the bodies, which already kind of makes them suspect to, okay. But they were very adamant. They said that we didn't kill them. Like, why? But, it keeps circling around that Sebastian was on the folly all by himself, and they said that he was able to be seen anywhere on the property where they were at. And I'm like, really? Because if you're hiding, how do you know where he's at? I don't know. My suspicions are still on Sebastian for some strange reason. And also on Julian. Just saying. Because they find out the girl that was killed and found in the river the same night that their friends were killed also had a connection to Julian. Because he was the girl that he kissed and cheated on Rosie with. And also, I think it was Peter had feelings for, because he talked and hung out with her the night before that they met in a pub. And they called her the Canadian because I guess it was popular back in the 90s to say you were Canadian because there was some kind of ill feelings towards Americans if you said you were an American. Truthfully, she was an American, but... So, very interesting. I love how Maureen Johnson is just spinning this story and just kind of letting the pieces like unravel and fall into place like a puzzle. And I think that's what I like most about her writing, and why I like the Truly Devious series so much. So, but it just, I don't know, it just feels like everything is like coming to a conclusion so soon because we're just a little over, I think, halfway through the book, or at least the Kindle version. Yeah, 75% the way, but you know it's going to hit a climax soon. It's 75% the way through the book, and so I figured while I'm waiting for the rice to cook in our rice cooker, and to finish making supper, so when I go get my fiance, he can eat when he gets home, I'm going to read a little bit and find out, so... It is technically Tuesday, so it's Valentine's Day, but I have finally finished 9 Liars, and that cliffhanger. Stevie and David end up breaking up because David is like going through a weird like midlife crisis or what is going on in his life, and breaks up with her because he can't share why he's breaking up with her truthfully. And so Stevie's thinking it's for Izzy, but of course she finds out that Izzy's actually in a complicated relationship with somebody back at home because she doesn't originally live in London. And we don't find out until the end of the book. So you can just imagine where probably David is. Because of his past antics of how he copes with kind of like big life changes. So you can probably imagine what that cliffhanger is. So we'll see how the next book picks back up. Because obviously I would hope Maureen Johnson wouldn't just end a franchise like that. Because I'm calling it a franchise now. On a cliffhanger, but you know, I'm not the author. So, I should see if she has another book in the works. She probably does, but there's probably haven't been any announcements of it yet, just since this book came out in December. But we will see. But the way she solves mysteries has always just been satisfying because, like, this one really stumped her because there wasn't really a whole lot to go on. And a lot of people were not being truthful. Obviously, we find out that the nine were lying about some of the events that happened that day in order to protect one of the group. But they didn't. But Angela was right, and one of them did kill their friends. And Angela. And just the way she figured it out was by a small button. A button. And the contents of her purse. But anyways, I'm going to let you guys go for this vlog. We finally finished 2 books in this whole magical readathon Orilium trying to catch up. And you know what? If we don't get there by spring equinox, we'll be good. But as long as we can get majority of them read. I would love to have them all read. That is the goal. But realistically, it might just be majority. I might have went a little too high on this goal, just a little bit. But thank you so much for watching. If you did like what you saw and want to stick around for more of this chaotic journey that is this channel, please hit that subscribe button and that bell notification so you are notified. I post every Tuesdays and Thursdays, which I've been pretty good at trying to stay on to that schedule. So I hope everybody has a great rest of their week and a great start to their weekend, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!